Galadriel is so annoying, not because she's a Mary Sue and a Karen, she is certainly both. It's because she, like many elves before her, are just super repetitive and can only talk about one thing. She goes on and on about her story. She must avenge her brother. She must find Sauron over and over and over again. Like Link from Legend of Zelda talking about his need to rescue his girlfriend from Ganondorf. Or Legolas going on about his arrows. Elves in general are boring ass people. Welcome into Voice of the Fat Mantis, and this is my review, not breakdown, of Rings of Power episodes 1 and 2. What's the difference between a review and a breakdown? Well, it's very simple. A breakdown is when I actually go into analysis of it, and I talk about Easter eggs, and I talk about how some stories reflect upon other bigger stories and concepts. I'm probably not going to touch on this. I'm just going to talk about my general feelings, because after those 2 hours that really felt like 17 hours, there was a lot to pick up, there was a lot to put down, and I'm still swaying in my emotions about how I felt about this one. Ultimately, I did enjoy this ride, and I would like to do it again. I'm letting you know right now, I will continue to review every episode, so there's that. Now remember to like, share, and subscribe so we can move on to the review. Now, in the beginning, I have to say, the thing that stands out the most out of all these episodes is how utterly beautiful it is. This series is beautiful. I see where their $60 million went. Every transition or location shot or the countryside in general or any of those things are utterly beautiful. It was unreal, and it is unreal because it's all CGI, but it's done well. And so anyone, if you see any review, someone dissing that or dissing the costumes or the quality of the production, they're either a hater or they didn't actually see it, so I wouldn't trust that. I would say that that is very solid things. The real question is the subject matter, and the subject matter is what's caused all the controversy. As you notice, there's these culture warriors out there that are standing firm that this is woke SJW nonsense that doesn't deserve any time and place in your heart or in your evening watching time slots. And I'm going to have to just go up against them. This is not a bad show in any way. I will say the first episode was boring. It was beautiful and boring. There was some magical stuff that might interest you, but really it didn't go anywhere. Yeah, Galadriel is just repeating herself over and over again. And I got to say, it's not so boring you'd fall asleep, but I'm saying it's very similar to the old Lord of the Rings films in that you feel like you're walking through a forest forever. A forest that's called a conversation amongst elves. Elves like to talk. Let me tell you that. However, as they move the gears into episode 2 and the actual plot takes off, that's right, I'm talking about Meteor Man here. By episode 2, I was actually really enjoying myself, and there's various plots that I want to see again. Now, one of the problems is that they're all separate plots. They're only loosely connected, and hopefully I don't have to go through an entire season or more before they link up and join forces. Everyone has their own kind of thing going on, which can be interesting, but the show cannot survive if they do not link up the storylines and kind of trim down the fat of cutting from different zones or different lands or different species, actually. I noticed that the stories were segregated racially, strangely. In the 21st century, that's horrible. Now, I'm going to break it down really, more importantly, by the characters. And so I'm going to start with our girl, Galadriel. Now, I've just talked to you about how boring she is. Now, I think a lot of the culture warriors are upset that she is a warrior several thousand years before she becomes a great magic user. And right now, she's, for a really pretty princess-looking girl, she is a rugged warrior who has every fighting skill everywhere. She is very much like Legolas in that she does crazy action sequences that she shouldn't be capable of. Now, I don't love those. I prefer to see battles be a little more realistic in my thing. I like Game of Thrones types of fights that look a little more realistic than doing backflips and crazy stuff. I don't feel that the essence of D&D or any of these fantasy stories are akin to superpowers. They're really not. There's a more subtlety to the combat systems, and that's what I wish was illustrated. That's not what we're getting here. She clearly is a superhero amongst ants, and she's better than them. And so this is why I'm not connecting well with this woman. She's bland. She probably has avian bone syndrome, and that with the superpowered abilities that she's just superior to everyone, not loving that situation. But she is the anchor that holds it all together. So she is the leader. So like Cyclops, I didn't ask for that dude, but I'm going to have to follow his story because he's their leader, right? And next, moving on, is actually to my favorite character and her BFF. That's right, Elrond. He is the half-elf with the mostest. I love this dude, and so I doubt that this actor will ever age up into becoming or Agent Smith from The Matrix, but I do find it interesting seeing the young life of him. Now, he is tasked by an actual interesting task that isn't like anyone else's. He doesn't have to kill or destroy or bring back goodness or end evil. He's tasked with trying to find a workforce for the building of one of the two towers, and I'm loving it. I love seeing these types of origin situations. I think it's interesting. I love his rapport with the dwarves and this whole thing going on with Durin and his wife. I find it just a pleasantly paced change of pace, should I say. Now, another interesting thing is a lot of people don't even realize it. It certainly hasn't been mentioned, but we know from The Lord of the Rings that he is a half-elf. And that actually, interestingly enough, he had to choose whether he was going to live the life with the immortal elves or with the humans, and he chose the life of the elves. However, he has a brother who chose the life of humans. And so that's going to either bring trauma or story, and it's going to be interesting, and I think it connects to a later character, and I can't wait till it connects to this character, because I kind of see the threads of how a bond can form. This kind of, the trauma of choosing immortality. It's bizarre. It's very fantastical. I'm into it. And the person, of course, I'm talking about is Arendare, better known as the Hot Elf. All the chicks are calling this guy the Hot Elf. He looks like he's straight out of Grey's Anatomy, like he's a hot doctor. You know, he's giving the woman the stares. He looks at that white girl like he has been starving for 40 days and 40 nights, and he's ready to eat a meal. The sexual tension is potent in this entire situation. And so he is an elf. Either the woman he's been with or the woman he's trying to get with, we're not sure yet. It's a love, it's a romance going on, is a human. And one of his friends warns him there's only been in history two tales of elves and humans coming together. And we know how those tragedies end. And I found that interesting. And I thought to myself, are one of those stories Elrond's parents? I can't wait to see what's going on in this situation. I feel that connection is going to be awesome. And there's another thing, and this is just a little theory crafting for it. Is it possible that her son, Browen's son, Theo, is his son, his illegitimate son? Is it possible that they have been having a romance for many years and that he's actually the father? And she's trying to cover this up. She might even be covering this up from Hot Elf. He might not even know that he's the baby daddy, which would change his whole dynamic and that whole situation. So, I don't know, man. But once again, another storyline. I'm into it. I'm into this. Bring it on, which now brings me moving on to probably the most unlikely character. I bet you would never think I would say this person is notable and important. But I like to call her Hot Hobbit. Yeah, there's a hot hobbit in here. And they try to make her look like a child, and they frazzle her hair, and they mess up her hair. And to be honest, it's like one of those situations when you're watching one of those teen movies where the nerdy girl has her hair up and she has glasses and she's wearing sweats. And if she were to take off her glasses and let down her hair and get out of her sweats and get into like a gown or something, she'd be the prettiest girl in school. And at the beginning of the movie, you see right through the illusion. You're not fooled for a bit. You're like, wait a minute, that girl's secretly hot. That is the case of Nori Brandyfoot, our main Hobbit story. And although they try to bog her down with being an annoying Hobbit, I'm sorry, a Harfoot, it's possible that these guys don't even have the rights to use the word Hobbit. It's all right. Was never really married to that name. So she's one of the annoying Harfoots. She's not nearly that annoying at all. And I'm very invested with her. Now, is it her beautiful, stunning eyes? It could be that. But I'm willing to tune in again. And trust me, go check out that. It's Markella Kavanagh is her name, an Australian actress. Go check her work out, and it will confirm that all she needs is a little shampoo in her hair, and she will be the belle of the ball. So I can't wait to see more of her shenanigans. Now, her story leads directly into the mystery man that everyone is talking about on the internet, Meteor Man. He's yet to be named. He fell from the sky at the end of episode 1. Spoiler alert. And he's in there in a pile of molten heat. Now, a lot of people think that he is a young Gandalf coming down to save the day. Now, some people would say that violates canon. Others can't seem to agree what is canon or what is the appropriate nature of everything. And I'm here to just let it be explained, as I feel like they've already given us hints. I do not believe that this is Gandalf. I actually believe it's probably Sauron or someone similar. And I'll tell you why. At the beginning of episode 1, Galadriel finds Sauron's lair out in the Arctic. And her attack team, they get in there, the commandos. The elven commandos are looking around, and one of them tries to light something with his flame, and it won't light on fire. And he puts his hand to his torch, and he says, it's not letting off any heat. And she says, it's the evil. The supernatural evil in this place is preventing the fires from giving us heat. And then they go on. Right? Throwaway line? No, it isn't. Because at the start of episode 2, little Nori gets pushed accidentally into the fire pit that the wizard is lying in. And when you'd think she's going to get injured, she's lying there on molten metal and stone. And she looks around and she goes, they're not hot. I think this is a clear indication that this guy is evil, and he's so evil that he's preventing heat from escaping. Just like we've already been warned of this phenomenon. This is the hint that's revealing what's going on. Another thing I got to say is that when he used his magical stunt to try to communicate with them later on in the episodes, he starts controlling the fireflies, but when he's done with them, they die. They start falling off. And to be honest, Gandalf would never do that. Gandalf is as green as my ass. And he would never let innocent fireflies die just to pull off some spell. He loves animals and he loves nature, and that is not him at all. I believe that is Sauron, and I believe later on, once he gains his power, he's going to start aging backwards, and he's going to become the Benjamin Button of villains, and he'll become that angry Eminem guy we've seen in trailers before. And that's where I think that is headed. But I will say there are a lot of things I'm excited for, and I actually recommend this series. If you're into The Lord of the Rings, if you're into fantasy in general, you're going to enjoy this. Just check it out. Try hard to avoid the haters. The culture warriors are going hard. There could be many false reasons why they're doing this. There could be just that they're hardcore fans. The way I hate Hawkeye from the MCU, or the Wrecking Crew more recently in She-Hulk, I would say that they hate this, and I feel a fan has a right to be this way. I will say that they're arguing way too hard. They are going way too hard about hating on this property. Why can't they just sit back and let me enjoy it? I mean, some YouTubers are dropping 5-6 videos a day about how much they hate it, and they're trying to discredit it and saying that it doesn't really have good ratings and nobody really likes it and it's killing babies. It's not that serious. This is a fantasy show. You want to see Galadriel jump around and do flips? Then sign up. But please keep tuning in, because I'm going to keep reviewing this bad boy, and my real true breakdowns are going to start with episode 3. The real question is, what did you think about the Rings of Power episodes 1 and 2? Please let me know down in the comments. Do you have any thoughts on the culture war? Feel free to let all your ideas down there. There are no wrong answers in a Mantis YouTube video. Let me just tell you. I'm also going to urge you to like, share, and subscribe. I've been the Fat Mantis. You've been awesome. And until next time, ciao for now.